Most people think your best athletic years are behind you by 40. I used to think that too, until this morning, when I ran the fastest half marathon of my life. This story doesn't start with today's victory. It starts 20 years ago, with a free Nike shirt and a girl who was convinced she wasn't a runner. What happened between then and now changed everything I believed about limits, about time, and about who I thought I could become.
I ran a half marathon this morning, 2 hours and 22 minutes. It was actually faster than the last time I did, actually faster than any time I did the half marathon before. So I'm in my 40s and I am better than in my 20s. I needed to say that. Now we can start the day.
You don't run a half marathon on a whim. It's something you build slowly, intentionally, through early morning runs, sore muscles, and countless moments where discipline mattered more than motivation. I've been training for months, pushing past my limits, fine-tuning every detail with patience and purpose. And when you finally cross that finish line, what hits you isn't just joy, it's pride. Pride in every sacrifice, every hard morning, every time you chose to keep going. Because getting there isn't luck, it's consistency. It's self-love in motion.
This marathon project of mine has been almost 20 years in the making. It doesn't have to be like that for you. Of course, everybody has their own journey regarding running or their first marathon or half marathon or even their first 5K. But for me, it has been 20 years. And now I finally feel like I'm ready to pull the trigger and say, yes, I'm gonna run a marathon, a full marathon. I don't know. I think the destiny wanted me to start running. I've never thought about myself as a runner. When I was in high school, I played soccer. I loved soccer. I still love soccer. I was never like an excellent player. I was a decent player, I would say. But anyways, I was in my 20s and one day a coworker came to me and said that she was running this 5K running, and I thought, oh my God, that's so cool. I wish I could run 5 kilometers. And she said, come with me, it's gonna be fun. Nike is the organizer. And I was maybe, and she said, oh yeah, but when you sign up for this run, you get a complimentary Nike shirt, a Nike running shirt. And I thought, okay, let's do it. I went because of the shirt. It was love at first sight or at first stride, I don't know. And since then I started running. And that was the first lesson I learned from running, that you only need to start. I didn't have proper shoes. I had shoes, of course. I had like sports shoes, these Nike sneakers. Actually, I think by that time I had recently bought these white Nike sneakers that were so beautiful. Of course, they were not running shoes, but they were so beautiful. And I remember during the race, I didn't want to stain them. There was this mud all over the place because it had rained the day before, and the race had mud all over the place, and I was so afraid to step in mud for the first meters, I would say. And then when I started to feel the energy, like I remember it was a women's only run, so it made everything more special. And I remember when I felt the energy and everybody was running together, I forgot about my sneakers and I ran. I just ran, and I couldn't believe that I could run 5 kilometers. And since then, I considered myself a runner. Then came, I believe, 7 kilometers after that, and then 10 kilometers.
My first half marathon was in 2011 in Rio de Janeiro. Unfortunately, I don't have any videos from that time. I ran the half twice, along with several other races, but it's been a long time since I trained seriously or followed a structured routine.
After the half marathon, I would run here and there, always more like a recreational thing. I always had in the back of my mind that one day I could run the full marathon, but it was never like something that, I don't know, this main goal of mine. I had this dream in the back of my mind, but I know that to run a full marathon, you need commitment, you need planning, you need a lot of things, and you have to sacrifice in other areas of your life. So I would say it was always on my back burner. Last year, I was thinking maybe this is the time. Maybe now that I am in my 40s, that I am an experienced runner, I accomplished a lot of goals in my life already, maybe it would be a good new obsession of mine.
I got back into running last year, and when registration opened for the Waterfront Marathon this October, I didn't think twice. I signed up.
And I had this idea to finish 2024 running a half marathon again, because since I ran in Rio, I didn't run again, like a half marathon. So I decided, okay, by the end of this year, I'm gonna run a half marathon again. And by October, November, I believe, one day I was running. If you are a runner, if you run, you know those days that you are just in the mood to run the whole city. And I remember that day I ran around 18 or 19 kilometers, and I thought I could run a half marathon today. But I thought, no, but it's not a special day. I put in my mind that I would run by the end of the year, so I have 2 more months to reach that goal, to run better, to run a half marathon in a better way, or I don't know. I think my idea was to end the year with the half marathon. Like the last day of the year, the last thing I would do in 2024 would be to run a half marathon again. It looked like a good plan, right? But the thing is, the very next day, I injured my back.
I am in such pain right now. I am on my yoga mat trying to stretch my hips a little bit, but oh my god. It hurts. It hurts.
And I couldn't run anymore until this year, until I believe January 2025, maybe February, I couldn't run anymore. So here's another lesson. If you can do it today, do it today.
I eased back into running, thinking I'd quickly return to my previous mileage, but I hadn't thought about the harsh winter, and that changed everything. In the cold, it's not just about enduring low temperatures, it's about enduring them for a long time. My training runs were over 2 hours, and it didn't take long for me to realize that spending more than an hour in sub-zero temperatures just wasn't healthy anymore. It started to take a toll on my body, my mind, and my motivation. When spring arrived, everything felt easier. What once felt heavy started to flow naturally. To my surprise, I quickly got back to the same level I'd reached in the fall. The day I ran 18 kilometers, I thought, maybe it's time to go for the half marathon again. And that's exactly what happened. The following week, I woke up, took a deep breath, and told myself, I'm running a half marathon today. So I did. Just like that. I laced up, stepped outside, and ran.
I like to have a relaxed approach regarding running. Of course, I have a plan, but it's not a very structured plan, especially because I like running outside. I don't like to run on the treadmill, so I cannot have this very structured or very rigid plan, because if I wake up in the morning and it's raining or it's too cold, I know I'm not gonna run the same mileage on the treadmill. So I have to be very flexible. And I came up with this plan, quote-unquote plan, is more like a way of running, I would say, a way of enjoying running, more than achieving high performance. I run for fun, and I run because it's my moment. It's the time when I'm with myself, when I can think about my life. My best ideas came to me when I was running. So that says everything, right? So that's why I run. I put some music on my earbuds and I just go. But I came up with a quote-unquote plan or a way of running that works for me, and I think it's a good way to run and to increase my running each week without overwhelming.
Here's a simple practical tip. Start by understanding your current limit. From there, try running twice a week. On the first day, when your legs are fresh, aim to gradually increase your distance by about 5 to 10% each week. Then, on your second run, go for about half that distance. It's a gentle but consistent way to build up without burning out along the way.
As I said, this quote-unquote plan is not a plan for performance, it's just a plan for fun. I'm a certified personal trainer and nutritionist, and I have a couple of other certifications in the wellness industry, and I thought it would be a good idea to get a running coach certification so I could learn more. And I did this year, but my idea was never to be a running coach. I don't get new clients anymore. I focus on producing content here on YouTube and for my Substack. Speaking of my newsletter, if you are not a subscriber yet, you can go to lucianacouto.com and subscribe, because there I post educational videos on health and wellness. There I share my knowledge in a more technical way. I would say you are going to learn about nutrition, about exercises, about running. Now that I'm a running coach as well, I'm gonna share a lot of tips and tricks there to run better. So if you are interested in that type of content, come to our community, go to lucianacouto.com and you can sign up there. And besides all of this information, I post yoga flows there so we can do yoga together. Actually, I'm a yoga instructor as well. It's one of my certifications. So check my newsletter there, see if it fits your need, and as I said, come to be part of our community.
I don't need to tell you that running a half marathon teaches discipline and prepares you to face challenges. That's a given. But there is something people rarely talk about: how long runs train you to be alone, just you and your thoughts. It's not just physical endurance, it's learning to sit with yourself, to be fully present without distraction. And that changes everything, because in that extended quiet, you start to actually hear yourself. You learn to handle discomfort, boredom, and the little internal battles you are so used to numbing with distractions. In a world where escape is just a tap away, training your mind to focus, to stay with yourself for hours, it's a rare and essential skill. It's in those solitary miles that you slowly become more whole, more aware, and ultimately more you.
I started this video saying that I'm running for almost 20 years, and I think I'm gonna finish it saying the same, because I think it's very important bringing back this data or this info, because after running for a long time, I have to say I still have a lot to learn. And maybe that's the beauty of running. It never ends, because I always have something new to learn. I always have a new technique to try. I always have a new trail to explore, a new path, a new environment. And the best part, I can always run more. Even though I ran a half marathon this morning, tomorrow I can wake up and I can run again. Not that that's a good idea, because I should recover first, but you got it, right? I can always try more. I think what I'm trying to say is I can always wake up in the morning, put my running shoes on, and just go for a run. And I hope you stay on this journey with me. Of course, I'm gonna share everything until my full marathon this year. So if you're not a subscriber yet, here's a good reason to subscribe, because of course I'm gonna share my experience and all the tips and tricks that I am still learning, and I'm gonna learn until this October, when we are going to finally run a marathon, a full marathon. 20 years after that naive girl went for a 5K run.